Peace, and welcome back to Mugsy Character Design and Development, Part 2. This go around, I am going to be freestyling, just working on the characters, trying to start something from scratch as opposed to having it already sketched out. And I'd like to show that not always I get it on the first try, but this is to show you basically how I work the head to the torso. I'm not always going to get it the first go around. And like anything else, try again, keep trying until you do what you feel is right. The characters will begin to speak to you, and you can always work on trying to incorporate different types of clothing. I think I'm gonna work a hoodie into him. Just having fun with it in order to give it a different kind of life. So I start out with the eyes and see how that takes me. The eyes, the face. More so I like to work with shapes. Once I create the shapes, that helps me figure out the character's gesture. It helps me figure out his movement, body language, and it's just all around a good exercise when sketching. The goal is to get so good with these, you can execute them just like doing a throwy. You have it memorized, you have the way the body language will be. You can avoid the sketching process. So that takes time. And once you get it, you get it. I still like to sketch, I still like to play around and see where he goes. We've gone over eyes, we've gone over nose, simple shapes for hats. And I kept it simple when it came to the mouth expression. Let's start fresh. Fresh sheet of paper, pencil. Now this dude, basic shapes, circles, circles, and triangles. Triangle is going to represent folded arms. And like the shapes that you create initially is just there to give you a guide. Then I'm going in with just the face and his nose, eyes, mouth. And instead of a t-shirt or hoodie, I think I'm just going to give him a rugby. I'll have his arms crossed, just work him out. Already you can see I'm kind of working through it. And then I'll begin to refine it again. So second go around, this is a very loose sketch, a little bit more detail that's just helped me figure out exactly where he's going to go. The point of seeing this process to know that, like everything else, you work at it. It takes time to develop. Alright, so I think I have a good start of where I want to go. This guy, super loose sketch. Now is when the workflow really begins. And it's just, I tried to lay everything out, get a little bit more. It's really loose. You can hardly see any of the sketch, but you could tell that there's shapes there. So I'm just going to start going in with the Sharpie and begin to give him detail. Yeah, I'm going to give him some cuts in his eyebrows. And everything with the sketch is very loose. There's nothing that's a definite. So as I begin to ink in, then that's where the changes will take place and the character will come to life. They do kind of speak to you no matter what you're doing. When you're creating your own Mugsies, they have their own language, they have their own body language, and it comes together. That's why practice makes perfect. Definitely going to keep the polo in this one, or the rugby. Oh yeah, hook him up with a little pinky ring. Kind of hear him speak already. Now, since the sketch was very loose and it just shapes that kind of outline where I want to go, that gives me a better direction. Yeah, truck jewelry, fat rope. Uh, this guy, there's a lot of simplicity to it, but there's still a little bit of detail. And that little bit of detail is basically what helps bring about his identity. Now, there he is. In the first episode, I worked on these Mugsy's faces. Then I said, let me take it a little bit further in order to show you just how much more attitude and expression they give once you add the body to them. They definitely come alive more and more, and it's just having fun with it. Again, it's just trying to be exaggerated and allowing the Mugsy to speak for himself. Their body language, along with the attitude that's shown in their face, helps set the mood even more. Whenever I approach doing a Mugsy, it doesn't really matter. There is a feeling that I try to achieve with it. Sometimes it might be expressed with the eyes. Sometimes it's with the body. Sometimes it's always about what I'm trying to have my Mugsy say. And they're still classic Mugsies, no matter what. Simple. The execution always should be simple. I've seen a lot of different versions, and they're all awesome because it's the individual's take on it. I like to stay more of a purist and go back to the original DNA of how Mugsies were created. These guys, you can definitely tell that they would be hanging out together. And no matter how you want to add them to a piece or whatever type of background you want to give him, either he's the focal point in your piece or he's just added flavor to the piece or to the wall, black book, whatever it is that you're achieving. Your Mugsy will be able to stand on its own. Definitely hook them up with the spray can. Now his body language for me was very reminiscent of what I grew up thinking Mugsies used to always be like. Their hands, one hand was always showing, the other one was kind of hidden. You would see just fingers, and that is one of the things that make Mugsies great, is just how their gestures, how their bodies are created. And you notice some of the old school characters, old school Mugsies that were created, they might have 4 fingers, 5 fingers. It doesn't really matter. It's just whatever your preference is. Just have fun with it and enjoy the process. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Mugsy's Design and Development Part 2. Peace.